Hello, and welcome to The Torch. I'm Pat,
I'm Kevin.
and we're back with a new format. We are going to have guests on each of our shows, and this being the first one, Linda is our guest. You've met Linda before,
No.
and we're going to be talking about what is the silent majority. Linda, what is the silent majority?
Well, the silent majority, I believe, is either groups or even individual citizens that do not voice their opinion out loud and say, God wants us to do that. God wants us to spread the word like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can I say I like guests?
You like this?
I like guests.
Okay.
So just wanted to say that. Hi, Linda.
Hi. One of the things that I wanted to bring up was a lot of those people that aren't speaking out and voicing their opinion. Some of them, it's just fear, and it's fear because of what might happen to them when they do. Just recently, I read a news article about, it was a man up in Michigan. He's 80 years old, and he was out in his yard putting up a Trump sign.
Oh, yeah.
And some 20-year-old kid was on a great big four-wheeler, and he pulled up and got off of it, and I don't know what he said to the man, but he went over and he pulled the sign up and threw it down. Well, this man turned around, picked it up, and put it back in the ground. And by the time he got finished doing that, the kid ran over him, went up in his yard and ran over him with his four-wheeler. And man was injured badly and in the hospital for a while. Of course, I heard later that the kid ended up committing suicide about a little bit after that. And I just, and so, I think a lot of people I'm cautious about putting any kind of a sign out in the yard for that reason, is there's so much retaliation on things like that. But we can express our opinions, we can talk to everybody that we can and spread this word.
Well, it's like if you make a post on any of the social media platforms.
Oh, yeah.
And there are I think paid agitators that all they do, whether it's the Nextdoor app, which is a big one.
Yep.
They have even their advisors or their people, their moderators. They can say whatever they want to anybody else and be ugly, but then they can remove your stuff, which is the craziest thing. That's a liberal Democrat platform anyway. But a lot of the other ones, if you put anything that's worthwhile and life-giving or even your opinion, some of these people come after you. You almost can't. You say what you got to say, and then
you can drop it. Well, I brought this up on the neighborhood app, and a man answered, and he said yes, and he told a little bit more information about it. And I made the mistake of commenting back, and I said, well, if these people have a genuine relationship with God, this wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Well, he came back and said, no, I don't think that's true, because what about Jim Jones? And he named all these people.
They didn't have a relationship with God.
That's what I wanted to say, and I thought, no, I'm not going to keep this going.
Sure.
And so I just said, well, we need to agree to disagree on this.
So what is the silent majority? Is that it?
As defined, it is an unspecified group of people in a country or a group who do not express their opinions and concerns publicly.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in a whole country. It could be your church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Of course, like Linda just said, you're not always going to agree with their opinions.
Right.
But, a lot of people aren't even expressing their opinions on media. They're sitting there yelling at the TV or their spouse or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Well, let's take it a step further. What's the opposite of silent majority?
The opposite of silent majority would be a screaming, hollering minority of people.
Okay. To quote Richard Nixon,
That would be a good one to quote.
to quote Richard Nixon, who was trying to enlist the silent majority in one of his issues, he said, "It's a noisy minority, small group of people who try to get their way by holding demonstrations in the streets."
Right.
And they have taken it beyond just holding demonstrations in the streets. I mean, there's burning and looting and all sorts of stuff. So it's really gone
The other way,
the
yeah,
other
for sure.
way. But we all have concerns and opinions. Some of us voice it, some of us don't.
Mhm.
But you need to voice it to somebody who is going to listen, who is going to encourage you, who is going to do something about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where the silent majority needs to stand up. The churches need to come together in unity. I was at a conference this weekend, and that was one of the things they talked about at length, is bringing the churches. And the churches are the people.
Right.
Right.
The church is a building. It's the people within that church who need to come together and speak out and find out more about this person who's running for office.
Right.
Find out, and I've got a class that's going to be coming up just teaching them how to do that.
Good.
How to well, not even just registering to vote, but
How to register to vote, how to research the people who are running for office, whether it's the president of the United States or it's the dog catcher at the local.
Right.
show where to go, where the links are, where the
Yes.
organizations that you can fill them in. I mean, we can't spoon feed everybody, but you can point them to the source where they could get educated, just like you did.
Right.
Did you educate yourself on all of this?
Pretty much. As a matter of fact, my niece sent a book home with my sister from Florida. She had found this antique book. It dates back to 1830
Oh
something.
wow!
It's about this long and about this wide and about that thick.
Oh, wow.
And it's all about how the Constitution, it's even got congressional
Like minutes or whatever.
minutes and stuff in it.
How it kind of came about.
How it came about. It talks about the different people who gave the ideas, gave their opinions, gave their concerns, and how they worked it through.
These guys got together and they crafted something with the Lord's help, under His ideas, His divine hand. So we're in the kingdom of God, but if man is going to have a government, our system of government, if it is followed,
Right.
is probably the closest thing to, because it does preserve the most freedoms for the people. And wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. So these guys had to work it through, though.
They had to work it through because, you've got, 50 some odd of those men who came together in a constitutional convention. And they sat there and they argued their way through. And at one point, they were stuck on one particular topic, and they had been messing with it for days. And finally, somebody said, "Let's pray about it." And guess what?
The Lord came in and answered the prayer, because didn't they were at a standstill, weren't they?
They were at a standstill.
Weren't they? They were like what do you call it? Like an impasse almost with certain things. When you got that many people together with that many personality types,
Yeah.
give and take on these things.
And they all want each one of them has their own agenda,
Right.
and they each want to have a certain and specific group of things.
I'm going to talk about that tonight at our meeting tonight.
Oh, I
Family.
forgot about that.
Well, I'm broadcasting it, so in person or online, and because it's easy sometimes if you're already home just to tune in, because it's just different. But I'm going to talk about that because it is true. It's true. Everybody kind of has their thing, but so that book That's incredible that you got a hold of that.
Yeah, she loaned it to me, and I have probably until February because she won't be here until February because she lives in South Carolina.
I mean, just like the process of that.
Yeah, it takes you through the process, and I've just kind of flipped through it just very briefly, and I thought, oh man, I really want to just sit down and
Awesome.
dig into this, but I haven't. But it goes back to the 1830s or somewhere in there, and yeah, it looks like it's pretty concise about what it's talking about.
Well, people don't. People just real think. I think that a lot of people, the signers and the Constitution and what form of government we have, it's not really even taught in school anymore. But if it was taught in school, showing them that there is a process to doing this. Even like if you take it into a spiritual thing, like the manna from heaven to feed the people out in the wilderness. Here's the manna. It's get enough for your day, for the day. I'm not going to open your mouth and put it in your mouth for you, but I did provide it. Go get it. Go search for it.
Right.
The shepherds, after diligently searching for the baby, you will find him wrapped in a swaddling cloth in the manger. Then the shepherds have to go look.
They had to get up and go and do.
And that's
action. The word is action.
and that's part of what the torch is about this season, is about action, isn't it? About getting up.
Prayer and action. Actually getting up off the couch. You're sitting there in front of the couch. You're watching all this news propaganda. And you're getting angry. And all you're doing is shouting at the TV or shouting at your spouse or your kids.
Somebody told on me?
Yeah.
Misty told on you.
Misty told on me.
And what good does that do except upset your household?
True.
So you need to get up off of the couch and all right, let's take it there. So who are you going to voice these opinions and concerns to? You might start at the local level.
Right.
The city council or that sort of thing. Or if it's a county thing, there's a county commission in most counties. And here in Texas it is.
Right.
And other states have a similar type of thing. Or, if it's at the state level, your legislators. They're available to you. They want to talk to you.
They do actually want to talk to you.
Yeah.
They do want to talk to you.
Especially in an election year.
An election year, for sure. And that's, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's a pretty big deal this year to be involved.
Yes.
Everybody, all hands on deck.
Yes. We're 4 months out.
Can you believe that?
I know, and I get notices about some law that's trying to be passed or whatever, and immediately I go ahead and email or call my senators and let them know.
Exactly. You just answered what I just asked.
Okay.
Who do you go to?
Yes.
To voice those concerns. I remember somebody talking about they sent a letter to Cruz?
Yes.
Pastor Alex. He sent a letter and he detailed it out with bullet points and everything.
Yep.
And he got a detailed letter back with bullet points and everything.
Yes, I've gotten answers before, and it's really nice.
And so it's a case of you speaking.
Yes.
Find your voice.
Right.
And quit hiding behind whatever.
Right.
There's also a case, and I'm going to step on some toes probably. Oh well. The ministers of these churches quit hiding behind the pulpit.
Yep.
Come out, speak out.
Right.
Yep.
I know of one here in town who did not want politics in his church. Guess what he did? He went to the Republican National
He's coming around.
He is very much interested in the class that I am putting together. Yeah.
Think about talking about how the Constitution came out and kind of the steps, the steps it took to bring about that. And I was thinking today, which I will share tonight, but it would be worth, because it kind of tags along this. I was thinking of, of course, our meeting tonight is for our church family, and look, inside in that, I'm a product of somebody else doing something. And so, like, looking at my experiences where I am as a person today, as a pastor, as a pastor, but as, leaders, somebody else along the way took some actionable steps to put themselves, not put themselves, but be open to allow the Lord to put them in the right place at the right time. And then I'm a product of their effort. We're causing effort we're causing what we're doing and what we have done as a church too for a long time is we have taken some steps. We put ourselves out there. We put our reputation on the line. We've said what needed to be said. We've gotten spanked across the platforms. I guess we said something right. But things that we have chosen to do along the way have affected other people, and those other people now are affecting other people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It was a process, and if any one of us would have just not, or took a chance, or whatever, then things might not look the way they're looking now. Then take case in point, last summer you went into that same place to do a Saturday class, and there wasn't a lot of interest from leadership to come. But it was there.
It was there.
And there was information, and it's kind of kept trickling out. Mm-hmm. And Miss Pat wouldn't go away.
She's like a bad penny. She keeps showing up.
Yeah. So, but it is quite possible, highly likely, that because of some effort then on another person's part, there is now a change affected. And then, like, it's almost like you've done your work, now to the next.
Now to the next step.
And it snowballs.
Well, yeah, next step.
Oh, yeah.
Or even to the next class, or the next people that want to show up, or the next, to continue. What was the change of the what is the torch's change? I mean, it's a whole lot of different things we understand. The torch is a lot of more than just constitutional class, which is pretty important. It's changed a lot.
It's the torch is evolving into something based on the Constitution,
Right.
but it's bringing the Bible and God more into it,
Yeah.
Right.
which it had to do
Right.
because that's where it came from in the first place.
Right, but the process, like the book you talked about, that book, the signers. Mm-hmm. Some of them might not have come around to, because I heard, and I'm sorry, we were probably way off, that they were going in when they were first meeting to constitutional. Probably learned this in our class, the original one, the 12-week one, that they were going to do the United States as individual countries, like Europe. Uh-huh. That the United States was going to be individual countries, but they wanted more of the federal. They made it as states to have the same currency, but open board. I mean, it's one United States, but the states are actually supposed to be independent states within the United States. Somewhere along the way, that process, somebody had to give, somebody had to take to get. And so, likewise, this other just ministry, it is what it is. Maybe along the way was able to see the benefit of your people, and it's not like trying to, get politics are in the church regardless.
Politics are in anything, whatever you do. I always laughed when people would look at something like all right, network marketing.
Perfect.
It's a pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guess what? So's your family. Mm-hmm. There's a person right up here at the top.
Yep.
So's your church. Yep. There's a person right up here at the top.
I'll submit to the other one. Yeah, I yield to the one.
Yeah, but everything is a pyramid. No, regardless, pyramids aren't bad in that respect. It just depends upon the person at the top.
Right.
Well, the kingdom. I mean, we serve the king,
But we need to remember that part of that Constitution came from that king in order to get us away from that king.
Ooh, Miss Pat, I'm gonna put that on the bottom of the screen. When we do the quote, when we do the editing, Miss Pat. Say it again. Say it.
Sounded great.
It does sound good. That sounded really good.
I said we have to remember that this king.
Yep.
Now, how did I say it?
Our Constitution was this king.
This king gave us our Constitution in order to get us away from this king.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's on a recording. I'll just listen to it again. There we go.
I said it better the first time.
Yep.
But we do. We need to remember that, and we need to keep that in our hearts. And
Right.
I'm speaking to the silent majority. Every one of us have at some point been a member of that group.
Yes.
But it's a huge group, and it can make a difference in what happens in this country if they will get up and speak out. If they will get up and go vote.
Well, the silent majority, they're probably going to try to do this. They got away with it once, stealing the election.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord's not going to allow it to happen, but again, he's not going to go to the ballot box and vote for us. He can energize us, he can help us, he can tell us the truth, he can wake us up. But if we don't get off of our backside and actually get down there, wait in line if necessary. I would wait in line however long it took to have one day voting and it be cut off. Not even early voting.
Right.
I would sit there before. But I got to get up, got to get in the car. That's the process of getting there. And it has to be, the silent majority has to be they have to come out because it has to be too big to steal.
Right. And, I encourage people to get up and go vote. There's only one time that we voted by mail. And at that point, my husband was unable to get out and vote.
Right.
But he still had clearness of mind
Right.
to vote. And that was the one time that we ever did that. Any other time, it was, okay, it's raining, so
Yeah.
take an umbrella. Or, it's snowing or wherever we were. Okay, wear your boots.
Wasn't that the inconvenience for a moment of time to have the right person, the right people in there for years?
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what else it is? You stand there and you're talking to like-minded people,
Right.
and you make friends, you're enjoying yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you can have a lot of fun just standing there having it's not really a tailgate party because you're standing in line. It's a line party.
Right, line party.
Nine party.
Sorry, didn't mean to get us off there for a while, but
Well, we know you. We know how you do things.
we know how it
Okay.
works. So.
But this nation's built on biblical standards. And what we need to do is put biblical-minded men and women into the offices of the government.
Yes.
And it's that simple. And, and we need the people to rise up and make their voices heard one way or another
Right.
across the nation and in the halls of government.
So on social media, say regardless of what needs to be said, because there might be people out there that think the way you do, but they feel like they're all by themselves.
Right.
And it's like, well, I'm the only one who feels this way. And then you see all these other people that are really beginning to,
Speak up.
it encourages you.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, yes, go to make your call, do your email, show up at your city council, but even sharing your opinion about, you have free speech, so you can say what you want to say.
Exactly.
Well,
Well, you're
cuss at
supposed
people.
to.
Can't cuss at people, but
No, you really can't. But do it in a manner that is, you're not 12 years old, so don't throw a temper tantrum.
Yeah. Be respectful.
Be respectful of each other and don't be argumentative. If you disagree, okay, you agree to disagree.
Right.
yeah,
It's that simple. You have opinions. You're going to think some people's opinions stink. Well, but they think yours do. So,
right, true.
So, it's a meeting of the minds, and nobody, that's, God made us that way. We all have choices. And if we were all the same, what a dull place to live.
Well, kind of like the whole marriage thing. If you're both exactly the same in marriage, one of you is not needed. One of you is insignificant, or what? How did Misty has it better? It's like if both of you are exactly the same, or whatever the case is. It's like it's, but but a lot of times you have to have that differences. I lean towards a little bit more serious. Misty leads a little bit more happy, fun,
Well,
loving.
yeah, she was in the peanut gallery just a while ago.
Yeah, see, so I was like, I mean, she was like, but the two balance each other out and help
Right.
us. We need the other side too to speak, not the evil, wicked stuff, but
Right.
Yeah, and
not the other side, the demonic side.
no,
I meant like other people that love the country too.
Right.
I think everybody in their own way, well, I'm not going to say everybody in their own way, because if they did, they wouldn't be doing some of the things they're doing. Most people, especially the Christian element, love this country.
Mm.
And look around you. If it continues the way it's going, what are we going to have? We're not going to have this beautiful country, these beautiful freedoms that we have.
I know.
And that makes me mad, because then I look at the military and at all these men and women who gave their lives and who are still giving their lives, and all those who have since come home and they're living on the streets
Yes.
because they can't get the help that they need while they're putting up certain people in posh hotels.
Say it. What people?
Invaders.
Invaders into the United States are putting up in hotels
Yes.
while military personnel wait months and months to get in.
To get in anywhere.
Anything. Yeah.
And, these people are not immigrants. I don't even count them as illegal aliens, because they're coming from all over the world.
Right.
It's not illegal alien. It's invaders.
It's invaders.
Invaders. Yeah, have no. They don't want to be a part of the United States. They want to be a part of this other
Invasion.
invasion. Yeah. So
Yeah. And
it is what it is. We're supposed to say it.
It is what it
Say
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say it.
And, like I said, I'm probably stepping on some toes, but get your toes out of the way.
Stepping on toes and saying the truth. I mean, that's what I mean. It's like you're only saying what the
What
silent majority
the silent majority is thinking.
Right.
That's why we have to say what needs to be said,
Yeah.
because that helps
So-
others. Well, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe, looking at the whole video stuff of this tragedy that happened to be on the 13th with President Trump, and more videos of the crowd are coming in with things that cannot be explained,
Right.
and the silent majority probably already know that this is something more than just the 20-year-old kid that was there on the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was the fall guy.
He was the fall guy, and you said it, but we all think the same thing, that he was the decoy.
Right.
But there's too many of us now. They can't come get us all. The enemies
Yeah.
can't come get us all, and that's one of the reasons why they want to own the media, own the social media platforms at the top, is to silence everybody else. So take the Nextdoor app, for instance. How many people on there? It's like I went after the last time somebody got on there, and the backlash y'all got from just speaking your mind. I went on there and researched, and I just Googled, how do you start a social media platform like that? That's geo-fenced, meaning you can't hear anybody in some other neighborhood. It's only this neighborhood. How is that? And I went and read about how to organize and do something like that, because they can't all be owned by the liberals. And geo-fencing your mouth to your area, you cannot actually say anything. You can say, I saw a dog running down the street and it looked suspicious.
Yeah.
Somebody in a black truck drove by my house real slow.
Whoa.
That's
Wow.
but that, what I mean, is that's what it says.
Yeah,
But if
that's what it's about.
say we love our country, Don't say that.
You know, I believe the term is freedom of speech and worship, and that's slowly being eroded, and it needs to stop. We need to stand up and look back on history. Let's go back to World War II, the Great Depression. My parents lived through the Great Depression. A lot of people did. And they lived through World War II. Do you know that there has not been a war declared since World War II? All this stuff, Vietnam, Afghanistan, those were not wars. And is it right that all these people were all these men were drafted when there wasn't a war?
Right.
It's a whole nother can of worms there.
That's the reason I'm pointing this out. Let's go back in history.
Right.
But the history of this country is that the people always stood up for their rights. They always fought for their rights. And that's not happening.
Going back to the churches coming together, the Black Coat Regiment. Different churches, different pastors, same idea. You didn't have to go to the Quaker church and argue gray areas of the Bible. I think that's the fear. We talked about this before. Why don't the churches get together? We don't have to talk about doctrine when it's not that. It's not about that. It's about the global church. Okay, so you think you can dance and you think you can't.
Okay.
We're not talking about. We're talking. If it's heaven and hell issues, then we'll talk about the non-negotiables.
The whole thing is, if you want to dance, dance. If you don't want to dance, okay.
Yeah.
But that's the differences in the denominations because of those gray areas.
That's the reason God gave us choices, though.
True. Amen.
And they're not even living up to that.
Right.
So,
you have a choice. Go dance at that church.
Like I told you a while ago, there is a group of churches coming together.
Yeah.
Here in this area. Mm-hmm. And I intend to check it out.
Come on.
And I'll take you along with me.
I might start my own group too, because I know a couple of pastors, and that's actually part of the dream list that the Lord told me to pull back out for Church Alive. Is like dust off the dream, and one of those is to build a network of churches.
Well, bring them along, and this was their first meeting this past Sunday.
Yeah.
So bring those along too. But add to it.
Right. So anyway, it doesn't have to be a doctrinal thing, which is why I understand that, because we're in the ministry, we have the pulse on all that. Why a lot of times they don't get together is because they don't want to end up in a doctrinal disagreement. But the Black Coat Regiment didn't care about that. They were trying to save the country from the British who were parked in the harbor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it doesn't matter. When we leave the church building, at that time it was, we're Americans, Christian Americans. Don't worry about what they necessarily, the whole, like we just said, the whole, I've just used dancing because that was such a big thing with one denominational group.
It goes back to what we said about the minority.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that are, how did my dad put it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yep.
And our wheel needs to start squeaking.
Yeah, I think our wheel has been intimidated to a certain point.
And the squeaky wheel for us is not just